Why did you decide to use tools? Why did you not just edit it the old-fashioned way?
Well, I guess because number one, so I've been in the podcast role for about 10 years. So like I've kind of seen the evolution of like how hard it was in day one and kind of using all the different tools out there. I first started in GarageBand, by the way, and on Mac. So like that's kind of like where my actual editing journey started. So to me, I've seen a lot of the problems that could come up. I've seen a lot of the time spent in doing it, and we're just looking to save time. Like I think that's really what it comes down to. Because typically what I do, Adam, is I build a process myself. I'll screen record it. I'll write out all the steps, and then I'll hand it to someone on my team because that's the way I want it done. So I'm very aware of the problems we run into just because I'm a little bit of a micromanager, but in the long run, it works out because it's streamlined a lot of our processes.
Yeah. And with that said, how did you find these two tools? How did you find the first one? I think is called, you say it because I can't even read it.
Yeah, Auphonic. So believe it or not, I actually started using this one when I started podcasting in 2014. And the reason I had used it was to remove background noise from a podcast. But the problem that I had is the leveling tools weren't quite there yet, meaning it wasn't leveling audio as well as I'd like for like music versus one voice versus another voice. So it didn't quite have that like I like it, but it was good at removing background noise. About 3 years ago, I discovered a different tool, which I think we're going to talk about in this conversation, that handled the background noise for me in the actual recording process, because all of the people out there editing will understand if you can get a cleaner file going into editing, it's way less work going in than having to put like a noise gate into the actual editing or something like that. So I had ended up using it less, and then I brought it back in the last year or so because they replaced kind of the engine behind it, the software code behind it with an AI-driven engine. And now it's very, very good at sound leveling. The noise removal is even better because sometimes you would have these problems where it would remove like music or tones from music or stuff like that. And now it literally just removes any background noise. And so for me, that's, like I said, I used it in the beginning, and then we started using it again in the last year. It's saved us so much time for all the post-production stuff you could do in Premiere Pro.
All right, well, let's keep going. You mentioned, I think we talked about Auphonic, and then we wanted to talk about the other tool that you use as well for audio editing.
So this is Crisp.ai. It's not really a audio editing tool. What it actually is it's an AI sound filter. Because you have to remember, when you're editing, the cleaner you can get a file when you're starting an interview, the better shape you're in. But what it actually does, and it's interesting, Adam, because I've used this product probably since 2018. And in the beginning, it was a terrible product. It was absolutely terrible. Do you remember the days of like LimeWire when you could download music?
I've heard of it, yes.
Well, all the music you downloaded, the fidelity on it was turned down so low. All the like symbols sounded like people hitting trash cans. Like it was just like really bad. So the original version of Crisp.ai turned down the audio quality so dramatically that I just wasn't willing to use it. About 2.5 years ago, I don't know what they did. It's incredibly good now. So what it does is it blocks out any background noise in your environment, like whether you have a fan running, an air conditioner, you have a kid screaming, whatever it might be. And it blocks out those things, but doesn't turn the quality down on your voice. It is incredible.
You need to have Crisp AI going while you're recording, or can it be used after?
It has to be done while you're recording. So like I'm using it right now, and it's like it's an app running on my laptop where my mic is actually filtering through it, and then the source on Zoom where we're talking right now is set to Crisp.
Okay. There was another one that we kind of talked about, Adobe Enhance. And
Enhance is a really good Adobe tool, and because there's times this will happen where maybe you bring in a guest on Zoom and the guest doesn't have a microphone, or maybe their noise and where they're in just isn't great. So what Enhance does is you can upload a file that wasn't on a mic, or the audio is not in great shape, or whatever it might be, and it'll repair the audio. And it won't sound exactly like a microphone, but it sounds pretty darn close to actually having somebody on good microphone audio. Because I'll admit, Adam, like I've been dumb from time to time. Like sometimes you're rushing and you don't do a sound check before you start, and then you realize your own mic isn't plugged in and it's recording through your computer microphone. Well, you're not going to go back and retrack that entire thing because it's going to be annoying. So Enhance, I run it through and it sounds almost exactly like I've run it on my microphone. Not exactly, but pretty darn close. And in situations where, you have to have good audio, it's important to have.